Hello, my name's Amy and welcome to another weekly writing vlog. It is a little bit difficult to know where to start this week. For one thing, it is actually Thursday. This week has completely gone away from me. But I feel like over the last couple of weeks, I've had a bit of a crisis of identity as a writer, and it's left me wondering where to turn. So let's back up a little bit. If you've watched previous vlogs, you will know that I am currently editing a science fiction book called Echo State. The book is supposed to have been done long before now. I wanted it released by now, and I'm about halfway through. Whatever else happens, I am committed to that book. I am going to finish it, and I am going to finish the book that comes after to complete the trilogy. But I have spent a lot of time over the last few years thinking about writing schedules and publishing schedules and how to maximize my income as a writer and what I should publish next. And I've realized that honestly, I have just had enough. I still love writing. It is absolutely integral to my life, my creativity, my sense of myself as a person. I can't really see myself ever giving it up. But when I started indie publishing, it was with the idea that whatever I chose to write and wherever my creativity took me, I would then be able to just package up each book, put it out, and never be constrained by the market, by publishers and editors. I could write exactly what I wanted. And certainly nothing has stopped me doing that. But once you've been in this for a while, you start getting into this mindset of what is going to make me the most money. It is impossible to get away from this. Once you start making any money from writing at all, it always is there in the back of your mind at least a little bit. So I go through these big cycles of deciding what book I could publish fastest to get out there and make some money. Alternatively, I dream up these series that I'm going to write from book 1 to say book 5 or 6, and I'm going to publish them all at once. And there is sense in both of those approaches. But I've realised that constantly thinking about the money involved is starting to get in the way. I'm not saying that I'm never going to publish again. There is a very, very high likelihood that I will, even after the science fiction trilogy is finished. What I've realised I need is a change in approach. I know that the sensible thing to do if you want to make a career of this is to set up your publishing schedule, to advertise it to your readers, and to stick to it. But I have always said that I'm not trying to make this my full-time income. It's definitely more than a hobby and I treat it more like a job, but if it never really makes me any significant money, I would absolutely do it anyway. So it seems ridiculous that I am allowing the thought of making money and making a profit to dictate what I work on next. So this is where the step back comes in. I want to stop making deadlines. This is something that has been building for the last few weeks. I've kind of talked in previous vlogs about not having deadlines for my drafting, and I really want to continue this. I want to work on whatever strikes my creativity at that time. And I don't want to immediately start thinking about how I'm going to make money out of it or what the publishing schedule is going to look like. Instead, the approach I'm going to take is to write each book or series, and I may well write entire series from start to finish. And only once they are done and I am happy with them will I think about whether to publish them or not. There will be no more assumption that every single thing I write will be published. There will be no schedules and deadlines. I just want to enjoy my writing again without stress and anxiety and without money coming into it. Now, I'm well aware that there's every chance that I will actually write just as much, if not more, than I'm currently writing. It may even be that my publishing schedule doesn't really look any different than it would have done otherwise. Over the last few years, I have got my priorities backwards, constantly thinking about the end result and forgetting to enjoy the journey that gets me there, because when you're writing a book, it is a very long journey. So I had this plan that this vlog was going to be all about starting to gear up for NaNoWriMo. I had a plan for the autumn all laid out. I was going to finish drafting a book through September and October. I was also going to finish editing Echo State and get that released by the end of October. And for NaNoWriMo, I was probably going to dive into book 3 of the series that I'm currently drafting. All of that is now up in the air. I'm not sure what the autumn is going to look like. I'm not sure what I'm going to be working on for the next couple of weeks. I have realised that NaNoWriMo is looking unlikely because I still do really want to get Echo State finished, and the chances of it being done by the end of October are extremely slim. I considered putting it off during November and coming back to it in December, but that just pushes the release date back probably into next year, and I'm not sure I'm ready to do that. So honestly, my writing is a bit of a roller coaster right now. I honestly don't know what I'm going to be working on from one day to the next, apart from editing Echo State. I don't know whether I'm doing NaNoWriMo or not. I don't know when Echo State will be published, although I'm very much hoping it will be this year. And the really scary thing for me is that I don't know what I'm going to publish after Echo State. There have been a dozen different plans at this point for what comes next, all of them with their own merits, and I have thrown all of them out of the window. I am facing a very blank schedule for next year, which is both exhilarating and quite scary. And I can't even say that this vlog is going to be about making decisions, because I'm not trying to make any decisions right now. I'm trying to leave myself open to whatever I want to work on, and when something properly grabs me, that is the next thing I will finish. So all I can do is take it from there. It's now a very rainy Saturday afternoon, and I haven't done the best job of keeping this vlog updated. I did, however, have a really good writing day yesterday. Our daughter turned 3 this year, and in the UK that means she is now eligible for a certain number of free hours of childcare every week. We're not using all of those hours by a long way because we are at home quite a lot, or family are at home, and there's nearly always someone around to look after her. But because of the pandemic, she has spent about 18 months spending very little time with other children. So we thought a really good way to ease her back into socialising would be for her to go to a local childminder. So now that the September term has started, she is now going there for 6 hours every Friday. And this has been such a revelation. Honestly, the 6 hours of freedom and quiet yesterday was such a change that we didn't really know what to do with ourselves. So we got some errands done, doctor's appointments, going to see the accountant, some really unexciting things, but I did find lots of writing time. Now, when it comes to Echo State, I have been trying to work on it every day, but I frequently only manage about 20 minutes of work because I track all my writing time by minutes. Yesterday, I managed 2 hours. which I know is still not a huge amount if you spend a lot of time every day writing, but that was such a change for me and it felt absolutely amazing. It kind of convinced me that with a little bit of a push, I could finish this book by the end of October and free myself up for NaNoWriMo. It's not going to be released in October, but I think I could handle the proofreading at the same time as Nano, and then release the book sometime in November. And I know I talked the other day about not setting deadlines and making my life flow more easily and be more creative. But to be honest, I think this just shows how quickly my thoughts are evolving at the moment. I am changing my mind every couple of days. I still haven't set any targets for drafting, and I'm sticking to that really until NaNoWriMo at the earliest, because I still don't know if I'm going to take part. But I feel like if I don't set at least a soft goal for finishing the edits of Echo State, it's just going to drag on and on and on. I've talked before about how editing is a very slow process for me, and this book particularly has been absolutely glacial. But of course, I do want it done and I want it published. So I'm stuck in the middle of wanting to get things finished and needing to set deadlines to push myself, but also not wanting to burn out. And I don't yet know where the balance lies. The other really fun thing I've been working on today is the outline for a fantasy dark academia. There's something about this time of year, and autumn is very much creeping in at the moment, that really attracts me to dark academia. And I actually rediscovered this story idea. I was looking through a file of notes on my computer and came across just a few lines about this standalone idea. It's set in a world I'm writing lots and lots of different books in, but it doesn't tie into the overall chronology. It pretty much does just stand alone, which I think is why I'd put it aside and not given it too much thought. But because I'm trying to reduce my stress and anxiety and deadlines, having something that is written very much just for me and doesn't massively tie into the rest of the chronology is kind of what I need right now. So a couple of hours of work this morning were enough to give me an outline for pretty much all the book. Things like twists and the midpoint came to me very easily this morning, and I've started slotting them together into a rough order. The outline needs a lot of fleshing out, but I do think it could be a really fun book and really enjoyable to write. So of course my thoughts have turned to whether this could be my NaNoWriMo project, but at the same time I've got a lot of things half finished and I've outlined 2 other books in the last week and a half, so things are very much up in the air. I have too many ideas, not enough time, and this is the one downside of not setting myself any goals, is that I feel a bit untethered. I am floating around from one story to the next. I am going to have to pick something eventually, but maybe not just yet. It's now Tuesday afternoon and I'm feeling a bit frazzled. We're getting ready to go on holiday for the first time since the pandemic began. We're going to see family, which takes some of the stress out of travelling, but at the same time I feel very out of practice for going anywhere at all. And of course we're travelling with a 3-year-old, which makes doing any kind of long journey more stressful. And I feel to a certain extent that I have made the stress worse by trying to cram in as much writing as possible this week. Echo State is still going really well. Honestly, the last 4 or 5 days constitute the most intense work I've done on this book since the editing process began. I'm very pleased with how it's going, and I think I can finally see light at the end of the tunnel. But there are 2 main stressful parts of this. One is that trying to get the bulk of the editing done by the end of October is very tight. And the other thing is that the closer I get to the end of finishing a round of edits, the more anxious I feel about a book. I start to doubt every single aspect of it. And I've been having a lot of self-doubt about my writing in general over the last month or so. So this is all starting to tangle together into a really big ball of, is anything I'm writing good enough? The thing is, you can never actually answer that question for yourself. And in some ways, no one can answer it for you either. Readers can tell you your work is good, editors can tell you, reviewers can, and sometimes it's still not enough. You will always dwell on the negative feedback more than the people who really like your work, even if the positive feedback far outweighs the criticism. So I'm definitely in a place right now where I am just having to find my own confidence again. And as I talked about earlier, cutting down on deadlines is part of that. I've been doing a lot more outlining. The Dark Academia / Magic School book possibly has a title. I finally named most of the characters in it, and I'm working on fleshing out the outline. Honestly, I could start writing it with what I've got already, but I still really feel this could be a good NaNoWriMo project, so I'm holding off on doing too much more work on it. I'd really like to get to the point where I've got a more detailed outline and I'm excited to start drafting. That would be a really good position to be in for November and Nano. But overall, I'm just trying to not put too much stress on myself. I think the biggest realization I've had about my writing this week comes on the subject of enjoyment. I think I talked earlier in the vlog about wanting to enjoy the writing process again. I feel like I need to write for myself and stop thinking about money and about publication and about reviews. But what I've realised is that this needs to be the case whether I publish or not. I know a lot of marketing gurus tell you to think about your ideal reader, which to be honest is a mythical person who I have never been able to pin down. And ultimately, I wonder if it's because that ideal reader is me. I've always written things that I enjoy. When I reread my past books, even if I can see technical faults, I still love the settings and the characters. And that's something I really need to remember whether I write specifically for publication in the future or not. I have to enjoy my stories before anyone else gets their hands on them. And I think that's something that I've lost a bit over the last couple of years. I do very much like the last few books I published and I feel incredibly proud of them, but there's also been a little bit of an element of chasing trends and what I thought would sell. I have been completely off base every single time I've tried to write something commercial, so I probably should just stick to things I'm most passionate about. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this vlog. I feel like this has been a little bit chaotic, or as chaotic as my vlogs ever get. My brain is just all over the place right now, and it's hard for me to show the progression from one decision to the next because I'm making them so rapidly right now. But you know, maybe that's the point of vlogging. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been writing with the intent to publish for close to 20 years. And I think I've now published 10 books. But the thing is, this doesn't always get any easier. There are still always doubts. You will still go backwards and forwards, you will make progress and you will backtrack. So if nothing else, I suppose I've shown you that. So with that, we will wrap things up. I'd love it if you told me what you're writing down in the comments, or if you're feeling brave, share some of your writing doubts. Keep writing, everyone, and I'll see you next time.